Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. The shark on the thumbnail today is doubly appropriate because not only are there sharks all over the dial of this watch, as you'll see soon enough, the brand owner is an Aussie. This is the first stage Shoal Deep, the first watch, but the second brand of Second Hour Watches owner Peter Sargison. Did that make sense? I've looked at a couple of Peter's watches so far on the channel in the form of the Mandala and the Giant Stride. This is the first collaboration between Peter and a Thai-based Seiko modder by the name of Jack Hypoxia. What the two men have done essentially here is taken a very SKX-like case and added all the goodies that modders used to add to the Seiko. Better movement, sapphire crystal, ceramic bezel insert, new dial and hands, better bracelet, etc, etc. And they're selling it for about the same price as you can currently buy a Seiko SKX. Now you saw the pop-up. This video is sponsored by First Stage Watches. This one goes live on Kickstarter later this week, either the 21st or the 22nd of April, depending on where in the world you live. I will of course leave a link in the description of the video. So, does this shark have bite, or is it all gums? Let's flip the camera and find out. Alright, so what do we got today then? Well, for a start, we have arguably the nicest warranty card I have ever seen come with a watch. Reminds me of a black Amex. I used to work in fine dining, and when we saw a black Amex, we were like, whoa, we're in for a good tip tonight, boys. Anyway, 2-year warranty with these, and a nice little travel pouchy here. I think this one offers pretty good value, especially as you get another tropic strap, colour matched tropic strap in with a package as well. Early bird on these is $425 US. I think once you start looking at all the different component parts for these, it's actually a really good deal. If this is supposed to be a modded SKX, a base SKX is going to cost you over $425 these days. They've really gone up in price. 3 different dial colour variants. There's a pale blue, there's a green, and there's also a full DLC black. 2 different bezel options here, either a dive time bezel or a 12-hour bezel. Very interesting given the RZE conversation in last week's video. And it's definitely a familiar looking watch overall with a familiar set of dimensions. But before I get to those, let's cut to the chase. Let's look at that dial. Because I reckon this one really does live or die on whether or not you are into that dial. Personally, I think it looks really good. That school of sharks there swimming around on your wrist all day, and there's a similar one on the case back. I'll show you that later on. Oil pressed, these dials, apparently very nicely done too. Seiko have done something similar themselves in the past with their Save the Ocean series with a kind of manta ray profile. Interesting choice here going for sharks. Very appropriate obviously for an Aussie dive watch. So let's get to those rather familiar dimensions. 42.5mm in diameter. 13.8mm thick with a compact 46mm lug to lug. One of the SKX's strengths was that it always wore well on smaller than average wrists, and this watch is no different. 22mm lug width, again very familiar. There's a bit of a taper down to 20 at the clasp, back up to 23 at a big chunky clasp. The biggest difference between this and the SKX though is the weight, 186 grams, sized up for my 7-inch wrist. Now you can feel that extra weight, but it is spread across pretty much every component from the sapphire crystal through to that big chunky clasp. 316L stainless steel throughout, case, crown, screw down crown, 300 meters of water resistant, and it is a broad coin edge stainless steel bezel with a kind of high polish upper surface there. Beads of rice bracelet means it's a genuine 46 lug to lug because effectively female end links here. Solid end links, screw links, nice and easy, and a big chunky clasp with heaps of micro adjust, 6 holes of micro adjust, the First Stage logo etched into it, security fold over, double pushers, milled upper and milled lower. It's a matte ceramic bezel insert with plenty of lume. I will show you the lume later on. BGW9 throughout, 120 click. Dive style, I assume that's the same for the 12-hour bezel also. Yeah, bezel action is pretty good. Now this one is a prototype, it's slightly off-center. Peter is well aware of that. He will be rectifying that for production units, he assures me. One outstanding component of this watch is the glass. I love a good piece of glass, and this is a good piece of glass. And the sign of a good piece of glass is that it is barely noticeable Where is the glass here? You cannot see it. That means plenty of AR and just the right level of double doming. Screw on stainless steel case back with that shark pattern from the dial of the watch replicated on the case back as well. Very, very nice indeed, this one. Mixture of high polish and kind of bead blasted with a bit of 3D texturing thrown in for good measure. Yeah, very much in keeping with the whole modded theme. And behind that case back is a Miyota 9039. That's the no date specific variant of the Miyota 9000 series. So 24 jewel hacking and hand winding, but only unidirectional winding from the rotor. Now normally you'd be able to hear and feel that rotor spinning away, because though this is a big chunky watch, 185 grams plus, you don't generally feel it. Not a bad set of numbers either from this one. But let's get back outside and have a look at the dial and hands again under macro. Applied indices, we've got that split chevron at 12, pentagons pointing into the pinion at the 3, the 6 and the 9, and applied circular indices everywhere else. There is a printed track that just links all of those indices, another nice little touch. Now the indices are high polished silver surrounds. The hands, however, are brushed silver. There's a bevel down the middle, and once again they are segmented. You'll see that in the loom video in just a second or two. Angled chapter ring with prominent markers at the 5s and markers at the single minutes, and you can see all of it's colour matched. So the first stage logo and brand name are printed in black above the pinion, Shoal Deep the model name, and automatic printed beneath, but automatic in red. Picking up the 5-minute markers on the chapter ring, and also that second circular line on the bezel insert. Now the bezel insert is matte ceramic as noted, again that chevron with a red surround up there at 12. They've gone 5, 10, 15 and 20, but not marked the individual minutes on the bezel. They've then gone 30, 40, 50, so trying to do something a little bit different here visually anyway. Again, in keeping with that whole modified theme. Looks good after dark too, and you can see that circle, the second circle on the bezel insert, glowing brightly, BGW9 throughout here. Looks good initially, but when I turn the speed up on this one, it does fade quite quickly. But like I said, it's a prototype, so I'm not going to give it too hard a time just yet. On wrist, I suspect you're not going to be too shocked when I tell you that it wears like a modded SKX, like a big heavy 185 gram SKX. Beads of rice though, super comfortable, short lug to lug like I said. 14mm or just under 14mm thickness is not the slimmest. You wonder perhaps if they could have shaved a mil off of that by the virtue of the fact that they used a Miyota 9000 series, which is a really slim movement, but hey, perhaps that comes with the territory when you use an SKX style case. Legibility perhaps not magnificent though. Slim-ish silver hands against a pale blue dial, very much angle dependent, and the hands themselves aren't enormous given the overall size of the watch. Outside natural light, again you can see just how good that piece of sapphire crystal is. Gives you a nice clean view of the dial, which is this watch's USP after all. You can also see the high polished bezel upper there. That broad coin edge bezel, again adding a slightly different element to the watch. On wrist it is definitely big, it is definitely chunky, but it is also definitely wearable thanks to a super short lug to lug. And when you look down on the wrist you can see no gap there at all thanks to that 46mm and thanks to that beads of rice bracelet also. Pocket shot to finish, you can see I'm colour matched nicely today. You're going to have to make a decision whether to wear it high and tight or low and loose. Personally, this size, I would wear it high and tight as I am doing there. Let's get nasty though, let's get into the moans and niggles section. What am I going to be complaining about today? Well, it's a Kickstarter, so you pay your money and then you wait, and then you wait, and then you wait. You don't necessarily get that instant gratification you do when you order a watch online regularly, so do bear that in mind if you're the type that needs instant gratification. And let's go back to the colours. I like the blue and I like the DLC black. Not sure that mid green is really doing much for me, and I'm not sure that that little red touch does much for me on the blue one or the green one, to be honest. Kind of odd colour combos there. Tiffany blue and red, forest green and red. I do however think the red line looks really good on the black, and I'm guessing that the indices and the hands are slightly smaller than you would expect so that you can see the dial more, but it does give it a rather sparse feel. Maybe a slightly chunkier handset would have helped with that. And then there's the question of, do you need what is essentially a super modded SKX? Do you have one in your collection already? If the answer is no, and you like this dial, then yeah, like I said, 425 for what you're getting here. You can imagine how much it would cost to build one of these yourself, and you'd probably still be stuck with a 7S26. So if you're new to the scene, if you missed all of the hype surrounding the SKX or didn't get on that particular bus at the time, then this is a way of getting a unique looking watch with all of the enhancements that the SKX should have come with in the first place, but didn't. So there you have it. If you still cry into your pillow every night for the loss of the SKX, a little bit of its spirit lives on in this first stage Shoal Deep. Great for modders who aren't very good at modding. If you like the look of this one, why not check out another couple of Peter's other designs, the Mandala and the Giant Stride. Thanks for watching, see you soon.